What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're talking about the tank right behind me, my 90p 48 gallon, and we're gonna go under the cabinet so I can show you guys all of the equipment that I use to run this tank right here. I've actually gone under the cabinet for my other 90p. If you guys want to check out that episode, you can click the link right here, and I'll also link it below in the description. Aways Biomaster 350. This is the non-thermal version. For this particular tank, I don't need the thermal because I have White Cloud minnows in here and they don't like the heat. Spoiler alert, they died. The reason I chose the Biomaster 350 is because this tank is rated at 48 gallons and I like my canister filter to turn over the water at least 5 times the water volume of the tank. So 300 gallons per hour for the Biomaster is a bit more than what I need for this, but it is perfect just because when a canister filter gets dirty, the flow rate will decrease, as well, depending on different type of media that you put in there, will also decrease the flow. So the 300 gallons per hour for the Biomaster is the perfect fit.
Ask me why I love the Aways Biomaster.
Number one, the pre-filter. It is super easy to clean. You don't even have to open up the canister to clean it. All you have to do is power it off, cut off the water flow, and take out the pre-filters, rinse it out. The other thing I love about the Biomaster is it is huge. It can hold so much media. There are 5 baskets, and I've loaded one of them with a sponge and the rest of them with pumice stone, aka matrix. Yeah, about that cardboard that you guys see, I actually use it as like a shelving system where I pull the cardboard and the canister filter comes along with it. The reason I have that is because the legs on it is really rubbery. Those black rubber legs are leaving a ton of marks. So that's my ghetto fix. Having a piece of cardboard underneath. Extremely hideous, but extremely effective. And of course, for the Aways Biomaster, I connected to Quick Connects, but these aren't the Eheim ones. These are the UNS Quick Connects. I like them. They're super smooth, but I'm still a fan of the Eheim Quick Connects. So if you have a chance to get the Eheim Quick Connects and money's not an issue, go for that. If you're a little bit on a budget, the UNS Quick Connects will do too. And of course, at the end of the line, connected to the Aways 350 is glass lily pipe set. I've mentioned in the past, I hate cleaning glass lily pipe sets, so the video that you're looking at, they're pretty dirty. The lily pipe I selected is a traditional lily pipe outflow, and the inflow I use a skimmer. The reason I use a skimmer and I use it on all my tanks is because when you don't have a lot of surface agitation, it helps with the protein film that kind of collects on the top of the tank, and also the skimmer helps with the conversion of CO2 and O2. For this particular planted aquarium, I'm running a 5-pounder CO2 tank attached to a Epzone multi-stage regulator. And yes, this is the mini version. And do I like it? Yes, I do like it. What I love about the Epzone mini regulator is how the knobs are super smooth. I'm talking about buttery smooth. I don't even have to put a lot of energy in order to turn it. Like with some of the regulators, when you start turning the knob, there's some resistance, so when you want to fine-tune your CO2, it is fairly difficult. Now, the one thing I don't like about the mini regulator, it only has 1 gauge, and that gauge is not telling you how much CO2 you do have in your tank. But there's a simple solve to that. You take the tank, you weigh it when it's completely empty, and then you take the tank when it's completely full and you weigh that too. From that point, you weigh it every month to see how much CO2 you do have left in the tank before you have to start refilling. So that's my only gripe with that. Pretty simple solve for it, but in the future, I would definitely like to see a dual gauge for this particular mini setup. But overall, the performance on the CO2 is superb. It is a dual stage, so you're not gonna have issues with inconsistent CO2 bubbles. Talking about CO2, the diffuser I'm using in this tank is the diffuser I use in all of my tanks. The Neo diffuser, I believe this is the large version. The reason I love this is because number 1, it's made of acrylic. Number 2, it has a bubble counter built in. And number 3, that brown thing that they have on there puts out super fine bubbles. I'm talking fine, like I'm talking about Mariah Carey in her prime fine. Now for the CO2, I'm running it at 3 bubbles per second. It is more than enough for this tank. And besides, any more bubbles per second, I probably won't be able to count it. And of course, with the CO2, I run it 2 hours prior to the lights turning on, and I turn it off 1 hour prior to the light going off. Also connected is obviously a CO2 line, which is super stiff. So I attach a U-shaped connectors to straighten out the CO2 line. And also I have a suction cup inside of the tank that's holding the diffuser. Also a suction cup outside of the tank to hold the CO2 line so I can route it exactly where I want it to be. Yes, I do monitor the CO2 in the tank using a drop checker, but it's not a traditional drop checker because I like to have minimal amount of things inside my tank. So the drop checker I'm used is a hanging drop checker. I mean, it works the same way as the regular drop checker. It's just cleaner. I prefer it and I recommend it. You guys should get it. This is a 900S Lite 3. I've actually done a comparison video with the TwinStar 900S Lite 2 and the Lite 3. If you guys want to check out that video,
click this link right above my head right here. Also included in the description below.
And for the TwinStar 900S Lite 3, I actually have no dimmer on this, no controllers. Well, I do have a controller, I have a timer on it. I'm running on full blast.
Full power, baby.
I run the light for 8 hours a day, as I do for all of my tanks. I feel like 8 hours is a magic number. Is it really magic? I don't know, but when I started this hobby, my good friend Derek recommended 8 hours, and he's a pro, so I'm gonna roll with that. I've used both the traditional timer and also a smart plug. This one particular is from Amazon, but other vendors sell it. I also use TP-Link. Smart plugs to me is definitely the way to go, and I'm sure a lot of people will tell you that. The traditional timers, I'm pretty sure a decade ago it would have been a banger, but now it's all about smart plugs. Way easier to adjust time, and you still have the ability to override whatever schedule you have to turn the power on and off for whatever device is connected to. Unlike majority of my other tanks where I like to keep the back clean, for this one I have a frosted background, and behind it, a little bit gimmicky, I've installed a LED system where you can control with a single controller. And there's tons of options. Look at that. So many options. Sometimes I feel like going with blue. Sometimes I feel like going with red. Whatever I want. Turn it up, turn it down. So that's pretty much that. And I want to leave you guys with some B-roll shots of my beautiful tank. Well, at least I think it's beautiful. I know some of you guys be like, I do that in my sleep.